And it's my great pleasure to have Luigi Amati, who is the project leader for ESIL, also President Emeritus of BAE and a very active angel investor himself. So great to have you here, Luigi, moderating this panel, and I'm looking for you now to introduce your panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much, and congratulations for the level of discussions and the dynamics so far. It's been really enriching. I hope we can add an extra bit of information with our panel, which is really focusing on the instruments that can catalyze more gender-focused investment across Europe. I would like to introduce my panelists this afternoon. We have Gilles Cocguen, Director of Euroquity and BpiFrance, Francesca Natali, Managing Director of Meta Funds, an active angel investor herself, and Agnieszka Wojdyr from the European Commission, DG Growth, expert in access to finance and also gender-smart investment. So with this panel, we will try to cover, if you like, first of all, of course, the Commission perspective on gender investing and all the activities the Commission is putting in place on this, and then to have a view from, if you like, the side of a public investor like BpiFrance and the private investors like Meta Ventures. Without further ado, I would like maybe to ask Gilles, Francesca, and Agnieszka to give maybe a just 1 minute introduction about themselves. And Gilles, over to you.
Thanks, Luigi. I'm happy to be here today with you. So my name is Gilles Cocguen. I'm heading the Euroquity department at BpiFrance. So very briefly, BpiFrance is the French public bank, but we are also a kind of sovereign fund, an export credit agency, I would say a promotional bank. So we are supporting close to 80,000 companies per year for 63 billion euros in 2023, including 4 billion euros in direct and indirect investments. So we are working, of course, very closely with the European Commission and with many of our colleagues in Europe and beyond Europe. So within the Euroquity department, what we are doing, we are a bit original compared to our colleagues at BpiFrance, because we are aiming to support not only the French companies, but also the European companies, and also companies based in Africa, for instance, in Canada and other countries. So we are supporting 22,000 companies, connecting them with more than 3,100 investors, 2,800 business support organizations. And of course, we are involved in many EIC projects, such as EN to EIC, Access to EIC, EIC Scaling Club, for instance. So very happy to be here today because, again, the entrepreneurial journey is beginning at the early stage, and business angels, of course, are key for that.
Thank you, Gilles. Francesca?
Ciao Luigi, good afternoon. Very happy to join the panel today, and a very brief introduction about myself. I am a shareholder at Meta Group and board member and managing partner at Meta Ventures, the financial company of our group. I've been managing co-investment risk capital funds here in Italy and also in other European countries such as Poland, Slovenia since 2005. Because of that, I sit in the board of directors of several of our portfolio companies. I support those companies as a board members and in implementing fundraising campaign and so on. I also have been members of the screening committee of Angels for Women, which is the largest Italian female business angels club. And I'm really keen and happy to bring into the ESIL project my experience as a fund manager, but also, the experience I gained in setting up the female business angels club here in Italy.
Thank you, Francesca. And Agnieszka, please, a few words.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a big pleasure. I still remember the first ESIL project, which I followed a bit from afar, so I'm happy we are here today. I guess I don't have to introduce the European Commission because the first speaker, Samira, she talked about it at length. I work for DG GROW. What hides behind DG GROW, this acronym is actually, we deal with companies, with SMEs, with industry, with entrepreneurs, and with the internal market in Europe. So I work in a team dealing with access to finance. Our, let's say, flagship initiative is InvestEU. So InvestEU is the biggest investment program in Europe. And what we do, we support banks and other lending institutions through guarantees, so they can lend even more to European companies. And we also support through our equity products, venture capital funds, private equity funds, funds managed by business angels, through co-investment into these funds. We do it in cooperation with many implementing partners, like BpiFrance is one of them, but also the main implementing partners, the European Investment Bank and European Investment Fund. And I will talk about what we do for gender soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Agnieszka. Perhaps, Gilles, we'll start with you. In your role of director of Euroquity and as a key player in BpiFrance, which is, as we all know, one of the main development banks in Europe, if you could set us out a little bit how your organization is supporting the gender-focused approach, investment, especially in startups and scale-ups, both in France and, as we know, across Europe, in particular with reference to building such an ecosystem for supporting investment in women founders and supporting the growth of a more diverse investment base. I know you have many activities. If you could please give us an illustration of the main ones.
Yeah, thanks, Luigi. First, for us, of course, it's of key importance, that topic. So we are really committed, not only to move forward internally, and this is the starting point, but also to have a kind of leverage effect, because we are partnering with many organizations, both in France, in Europe, and abroad. So we are fully committed to do that. I would like also to let you know that in France, we have a specific rule, which is called the Rixin law. So it's important to note that, because it's a commitment coming from the state. Of course, it's for the biggest companies, above 1,000 employees, but it's paving the way. So in 2027, all the companies, they need to have at least 30% of women in the executive management and 40% in 2023. So what are we doing at BpiFrance? We decided, to go now, not only, to support, the companies that are, above 1,000 employees, but even, for the companies that are above 50 employees to begin with, we will condition, the granting or the financing on their compliance with a professional equality index, for those companies. So this is super important for us, because, again, it's a way to tell them very clearly, if you want in the future to benefit from the support of BpiFrance, you need to commit to that gender balance right now to move forward. So this is the first part of the story. The second part of the story, as I said before, this is internally. Because again, it's fantastic to say, please do it, without doing it ourselves. So we are committed also to do that internally. So we are, I would say, evolving on the feminization of our investment committees. So now we have 30% of women that are in the investment committee, that are managing, at managing position. And what we want to do is to increase that level to have, 40% of women by 2027. So this is the first point I wanted to share with you. The second point for me, which is super important also, this is to monitor things. because it's cool to say, many things, but it's better to monitor and to really have a look at what happened. So what we are doing now, we will publish on an annual basis, gender data related to all the beneficiaries that we have inside BpiFrance. So it will be very clear for all, regarding the companies that are benefiting from BpiFrance support. The second point is what I said before regarding the gender distribution in our investment committees. It's public now. Since January 2023, it's available on our website. So you can click and go, and you will see it. And then we are also committed to publish, I would say, the equality index between women and men. And now, just to let you know, at BpiFrance, for the group, all the different, I would say, companies, including in the group, we have achieved, the 92 level out of 100. So it's already quite good. So this is the first pack I wanted to share with you. The second pack, because we are a bank, we are financing, we are investing. It's on that side, what are we doing? First point, we are giving specific guarantees for women entrepreneurs to create or take over companies. When a man is coming to see us, we are guaranteeing, what he's doing up to 50%. For women, it's up to 80% now. So it's really positive because we are accelerating, that risk, I would say, taken by women. So it's for small loans up to 50K with a duration of 7 years, but it's a starting point, I would say. The second point is we have specific loans, not to create or take over, but just to, I would say, develop the companies. So again, it's a specific loan for women entrepreneurs, which is called Womb Energy, small loan only for them. And the third part, which is something very interesting because it has I would say, a leverage effect. We are creating a new fund of funds that we are doing in partnership with JP Morgan that will be focused on VC funds that are considering, that equality within their management teams. So, and we will invest, in early stage funds, in VC funds, in growth funds. We are excluding IPO funds, but this is something I think very interesting because it's a way, the first part, the loan and the guarantee, this is directly on the startups. The second part, this is on, I would say, the investment side to have that leverage effect. Then I will not go through because we have too many initiatives. I just, wrote, more than 15 of them, so, but just to synthesize, I think it's super important to educate and to promote. So we are involved in many organizations, actions to educate and to promote. What I want to say here is that BpiFrance, all the teams are committed to create, role models. So each time we have a women entrepreneurs that is positive, I would say, to be a role model, we are emphasizing that. To give you 2 examples. The first one is the big event that we are organizing each year in October that probably you may know. It's compulsory internally to have 50%, of male and women in each panel. So it's compulsory. If we have, only 5 guys, we cannot stand the panel. So this is a no-go, an internal no-go. The second, I would say, example that I wanted to share with you, for instance, for the EIC acceleration program in France, I did, during the past months, 3 different, videos to record testimonials coming from women entrepreneurs. So it's, I think, a very efficient way to move forward. Some other examples regarding specifically what we are doing at Euroquity, because BpiFrance, we are committed in France, even if we are border, even if we are working closely with our friends coming from the European Commission, coming from other countries, because I think there is a public policy role here also altogether to promote that. But regarding Euroquity, thanks to many EU projects in which we are involved, we are promoting women entrepreneurs and and investors, on that one. So we cooperating, for instance, with InvestEU portal. We are organizing, specific e-pitching sessions for women-led companies. We are organizing office hours, investors' office hours, again, specifically for women-led companies. In the frame of the EAN to EIC project, I can make an announcement. Next week, we will create the first women-led, global community in Europe to support them to access, especially, to the EIC Accelerator program initiative. So it's a brand new one. We are cooperating with the Women Tech EU program. I will not go through that one. Probably Agnieszka will say a word.
Yeah.
And we are also supporting, many events such as the Women in Tech that we did in Paris with Lux Innovation, one of our colleagues. It was in May. And within Euroquity, last word, within Euroquity, what we saw, and this is, I think, super positive. I wanted to share that. Probably that we're organizing many pitching sessions. This year, we will have 140 of them. In 2021, the percentage of women that were participating was 12% of all the participants. In 2022, 25%. In 2023, 37%. So I think the evolution is quite interesting.
Thank you, Gilles, and great to hear all what is happening, and especially great to hear your enthusiasm. I could not stop you, and I didn't do it on purpose, because the chairwoman of this workshop was just messaging me that we can take a few extra minutes, because also the other panel was going a bit long. But it's really great, and if I can make just one comment, I think it's really great also that a national promotional bank like BpiFrance is so engaged. I think that through the ESIL platform, there is really a lot we can do also in terms of sharing experiences, and also hopefully in terms of developing similar actions in other countries. Francesca, I believe that you just said that you have been in this business for 20 years. So I guess that you have a unique experience, both as a lady being a general partner of funds and starting new angel networks, being members of boards. What is your experience, and what have been the main challenges that you have identified so far, and maybe some lessons you have learned through all this time?
Yes, it has been a long period and a big windows, and over this extensive period of time, I have observed that positive trends regarding female participation, both on the investors and the entrepreneur side. However, despite these positive trends, unfortunately, the Italian ecosystem remains mainly male-driven, especially if we refer to GMP, directors and entrepreneurial teams and CEO. I would like to, a very recent situation. We are trying to replace a CEO in our portfolio companies, and we are not capable to have female candidates. We are only, interviewing male candidates, even if we are asking for female person. The statistics from the Italian market are telling that only 20.4% of startups are founded by women, and only 25% of angel investment in Italy are made by women, even if female-founded companies achieve better results with a plus 10% increase in revenues if you compare to their male counterparts. So, what are the main challenges I have identified in such a long period? I've been working as an entrepreneur, I've been working as investors, and also as a fund directors. I would like to focus on 4 main challenges. First of all, access to capital. Secondly, representation and visibility, network, and skill development and education. If I may, I would like, to provide you with some, let's say, additional details about these four main challenges. Access to capital. What does it mean? It means that women-led funds often face difficulties, big difficulties in securing capital. Traditional investors are reluctant to invest in woman-led initiative. It could be because consciously or unconsciously, but they are reluctant. What it could help, it is in such an extent, it could help to create networks and alliances among women investors and leveraging those networks to access capital. It's also important, Gilles, you were mentioning education. Education is key, is crucial. We, into the ESIL project, we are putting a lot of effort in creating training program, both for entrepreneurs and also for business angels. Educating traditional investors about the value of diversity can help women-led fund to raise more money. That's very important. Secondly, visibility. There is a lack of visibility and representation of women in the investment community, which perpetuates the cycle of underinvestment. Here it's very important to highlight, to give visibility and increasing visibility to successful women-led funds and their positive impacts, which can inspire more women to become investors and to encourage more investors to invest into women-led initiative. Third challenge, network. Women often face smaller professional networks in their finance and investment sector if you compare to their male counterparts. And it could, let's say, limits their access to mentorship and guidance. My suggestion, in such extent here, it should be worthwhile to establishing structured mentorship and network program that could help women in gain the support and the knowledge they need to succeed as a fund manager and GMPs. Last but not least, I would mention the skill development and education. There may be gaps in the specific skills and knowledge that are required to manage funds and investments. In such extent, I believe it's crucial to offer education and training program for women in investment, which may bridge these gaps and enhance their capability in becoming, let's say, more skilled and more professional ready in managing funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not a trivial task still
No.
after 20 years. This is, what my instinctive first comment would be. I would like now to pass the words to Agnieszka, because you have a deep, I think, inside experience in both, EU policy measures, but also effective support programs that have been established by the Commission and some of, let's say, the key agencies like the EIC and the EIF to increase this gender-focused investment across Europe. So what could you tell us about what has been done, and perhaps, again, some of the lessons learned, what has been working better, if you could give us a picture. Thank you.
Okay, so I will not talk about the challenges because we discussed it extensively. So what are our responses to these challenges? So I mentioned the InvestEU program on purpose because it's for the very first time in a program like this for all equity products that we have implemented by the EIF. We introduced gender targets. what it means. So funds who apply to the EIF, from now on, they have to demonstrate that they are gender diverse. So we have a set of criteria to assess that at the level of senior management, investment committee, and we have a target that these gender diverse funds should represent at least 25% of the funds that are supported by the EIF with our money. The good news is that we already exceeded this target. So according to the information that we have from the EIF, around 38% of funds that they supported are gender diverse. So that's a great news, because when we talked, when setting up the program, we talked to some people and people didn't believe that we have so many funds run or where women are involved, and we have them. And I think this, there is also a sort of advantage for women-led funds and for gender diverse funds, because normally the EIF would co-invest up to 25% in the funds. In case of gender diverse funds, they can go up to 50%. So this is a huge advantage. And we are super happy with the results. I think also, you know, the EIF is the biggest institutional investor on the market. It's a huge signal to the market that we are done with seeing, you know, funds that are managed only by men, that this is really becoming part of the due diligence that the EIF is performing, and we want to see more gender diversity. We have a couple of really great examples. We have a German fund called Green Generation Fund, which was actually set up by two ladies, and they managed to raise 100 million euros. Mostly for investments in sustainable areas, in startups linked to food innovation and many other areas. We have also a fund from the Czech Republic, Tilia Impact Fund, which is smaller, but it's also gender diverse, focused on impact investment. So they're very, very concrete already results. What we would like to also see, because we came from, of course, this perspective that ultimately, we want to see more investment going to female-led companies, right? So we know that there's been studies. If we have more diverse investors, there'll be more money going to diverse companies. But of course, we would like to measure that together with the EIF once the InvestEU program is over, to see also what is really the impact on the investment on the companies, you know, in the portfolio of this. So this is very important. A second point I wanted to mention, I think it will be very interesting for all of you. So quite soon, hopefully just after the summer, we will be launching a network of gender conscious investors. This is a project that we run for 2 years. And it's supposed to bring together investors from all stages, so starting from business angels, private equity, venture capital, and we want to do a lot of things there. So we want to do learning. So everything that also Francesca just mentioned will be is on our list. We want to do learning. We want to do matchmaking with female-led companies. We want to do promotion a little bit. We want to go and find potential new business angels and train them. So this is all. I want you I encourage you to stay tuned for the news. We are at the final stage of the selection of the consortium for this project. So the work will start quite soon, and there'll be a lot of opportunities for all of you. I just wanted to touch upon also the other points in terms of, because it's all linked. I just realized also when Kinga was speaking that having more female entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, will bring us more female investors, because those successful women would want to give back to and become investors. And then, of course, having more investors is giving us more support to female-led companies. So it's like a circle. So we are working on all these parts. So as Gilles already mentioned, we are one of the, I think, the biggest VC investor with the EIC accelerator. This this is very unique funding program which offers grants and equity support. So we invest into companies, and there we built also a mechanism to favor to some extent, or to give a little bit more chances to female-led companies, which are also very good, but sometimes they maybe in the selection process they were not so visible. So there is a built-in mechanism, and it allowed us to go, I think at the very beginning, the number of female-led startups was very low, around 7-8%, and now we are between 25-30% of female-led companies. So it's already a progress. We also support women startup founders through, for instance, Women Tech EU. This is a project where women can apply, get a grant, 75,000 euros, and also a lot of business support activities around that. We also have the Women Leadership Program, which actually is open right now. The applications just became, I think, open recently. So you can apply. You can also benefit from a lot of support, targeted support in all your sort of business needs. So we are doing quite a lot. I think I will maybe stop here.
Yes. Maybe one. Well, again, I think it's great to see that, as you say, these problems are now tackled from the origin, because I understand that it is compulsory to have gender balance in teams that are proposing to EIF, for instance. So it is not that this is done ex post, but it's done ex ante, so to say. So I think this is probably a great step forward, and also I understand that measuring what it will be, as you were saying at the end, in terms of impact inside companies, resonates to what also Gilles was saying before, and also to what a number of speakers have been saying, that we really need to have good quality data to really understand how we are progressing with this. Maybe just a question in between, Agnieszka, for you, very quick one. Where are we able to find all these measures that you are mentioning? Because maybe the European Commission is a big institution. Could you give us just the address, or maybe you can send it to us if you don't have it right now? But I think it would be important to know as an information.
I think, yes, I get this question actually every time I speak about all these initiatives. So I was thinking that within the project that we'll do under the gender conscious investors, we set up a website, and we will put all the links there, because this information is not in one place, as you could imagine. The Commission is a huge animal, and it has a lot of websites. I think it will be good to centralize all the gender-related initiatives and put them on the website. So that's on the to-do list as soon as possible.
I tried. Maybe that's a good idea. Gilles, maybe a quick response. You listed all these measures that are happening mostly in France, and I know that BpiFrance, also thanks to Euroquity, it's one of the most, let's say, European-looking national promotional banks. What kind of specific measures that have been developed so far by BPI you think that are relevant and also transferable to other countries in the European Union?
Yeah, first, I think, it's a global approach, meaning it's to be done at the level of the entire ecosystem, meaning the country. So I think my first recommendation, compared to what we are doing in France, is just to ally, with other key players, because it's so huge, it's so important, that I think we need to do it all together, because there are the financing part, the educational part, the regulation part, even the political, I think, vision is super important. So this is not a recommendation. This is probably, just very pragmatic regarding what we have done in France. The second part, I think, is I'm convinced that the role models are key. So my recommendation would be to find, in each and every country, women entrepreneurs that succeed, that are capable to showcase what they have done, and to promote, women entrepreneurship. So I think it's super, super important, because I discussed many times, with women that had, fantastic projects, but they were not, enough confident, to move forward or to access, the biggest investment funds, or to ask, for instance, for the EIC Accelerator program. So I think we need to help them to say, okay, you are, many possibilities, please go on. Then what was, said by Agnieszka and what we are doing, I think it's the leverage effect on a specific ecosystem. So EIC is doing that globally. We are doing that in France. But if we have, some colleagues, in each country that are doing the same, meaning conditioning, their investments in the VC funds to a gender balance, or at minimum to a gender diversity, and so on, I think it's very pragmatic. You want my money, you need to comply to that level. Yeah. This is it. Okay. And then to monitor that. And I think, doing the three global, I would say, approach, role models, plus, to commit, you want my money, you need to be gender diversified. I think it's a good way to proceed.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We count also on the support of BpiFrance on the ESIL platform to make sure that this kind of recommendation becomes reality, because, as you know, the European Commission has entrusted us also with the task of mapping the needs and starting to develop some practical measures that will take this into account, design potential co-investment funds and so on and so forth. So I think we will have to take all this into account. Maybe a very last question, if I can, to both Francesca and Agnieszka, and feel free, who wants to go first. But this is, let's say, a little bit out of the track of our, let's say, panel, because I've heard so many things in these 2 hours, I cannot refrain myself of asking you. The first is, I've heard more and more and more that, there are a lot of mindsets of women versus men investing, like women are more risk adverse, or they are more meticulous. Is this something that, we should really confirm? Or sometimes, we talk a lot about unintentional bias. And if we say that you are risk adverse, then why you should get into venture capital? It doesn't make maybe a lot of sense, or this kind of thing. So should we challenge this mindset, or are we happy with that and we should keep it as it is? That's one point. And then a second point that really comes back into my mind too many times is because I have a young daughter, and I see her world. She's 24 now, and so I see what it is, her world. And really, it seems to me that in her world, our discussions are a bit old-fashioned, if I may say so, because the next gen of women really are not so much thinking about, because there are too many men in this, too many men in that, and so on and so forth. So is this a generational issue? And what do we need to empower these young women to carry on what it is their, let's say, current state of mind, in which they really see a world that it doesn't make too much of a difference being a man or a woman? I know these are maybe hard questions to answer in a short time, but maybe if I can pick your brains on this, and whoever wants to go first, please.
I can go first, if you don't mind, Agnieszka, because I have a daughter, she's 18, and I have to admit that they are much more, let's say, open to the diversity. And they have a different type of approach. Saying that, I have also to say that women are not risk adverse. They only have a different type of approach and a different type of perspective. And that's, allowed women to have a different type of, let's say, assessment on investment opportunities. So it is only matter to to have a larger variety of of different type of perspective. So I wouldn't say that, I mean, according to my experience also inside the screening committee with women or evaluating, I mean, female lead business opportunities, women are not risk adverse. When they decide to jump into an entrepreneurial, I mean, journey, they are very committed and they really invest a lot. So, I mean, we should fight against such type of, let's say, of mindset coming from the past. So.
Okay. Thank you. Agnieszka.
I tend to agree, because I mean, women have a lot of unique qualities that they bring to the table. And I think that is maybe we have to understand, and we see this in many studies, that teams, you know, that are diverse, not only in terms of gender, but also ethnicity, I don't know, cultural background, education, they are more successful, they are more, they bring better results, they have better innovation. So women have maybe different perspectives on certain things, which is not necessarily better or worse. We just need to hear the perspective as well. In terms of generations, I mean, I have a son, but so maybe he will have a little bit easier in certain aspects. But to be honest, we still see a lot of sort of gender stereotypes. So we have actually a project where we go to schools and explain to little girls that they can go and pick careers in, you know, the STEM fields, in the technical fields, the science, the finance. So I think we still see some sort of stereotypes there, and still women tend to choose maybe other career paths. And I don't think this will, well, hopefully that will change, but I don't think it will change as soon as we would hope for. So we are doing that work as well. Sort of we work with very young girls to also show them the different opportunities also in finance. So I think that's still some way to go.
Yes, Luigi, if I may, please jump for a second. Agnieszka, I really agree with you when you are saying that there is a big lack in finance education. So it is something that should be, I mean, highlighted, and it is a big gap because, I mean, in our school, there are no financial courses. And I believe that, I mean, it is something that should be properly addressed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So I understand that we still have to keep our attention high to make sure that the young generation really has no gender problem, let's say, anymore. And challenging some mindset can be a mind opener. It's more having different angles and different perspectives. So for me, it has been a real pleasure to spend almost an hour with you. I think we were the perfectly diverse panel, or at least gender equality was perfectly respected. And it's been really a pleasure. And thank you all for sharing all this information. Let's continue to support the ESIL platform. We will be for sure trying to get you in more of our activities. And Jenny, now this is back to you, I hope in good time.